Carl King UG Mwenge Caleb is that. Welcome to today's show. We're talking about money, sente. We have a guest speaker. He's Ajakwe Yogerako. And my colleagues as usual.
Kasozi Patience.
Kyle Jovans Kawes, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, Facebook, mobile man as usual.
David Kawes.
Yes. Mukola mirimu ki bannaye?
Tukola mirimu ki?
Yes.
Nze ndi electrical engineer, information.
Kola sente n'okuzibanja n'okuwabula abazitwala.
Kale mu luzungu.
I'm working in the banking sector.
I'm a muyiribi. I sell spares in Chiseka markets.
I'm a stay-at-home girlfriend.
Really?
Housewife.
Okay.
Information.
Okay. Welcome. So we're going to talk about money today and tukatandike ku saving. How does someone save?
What do we understand by saving?
Banka.
Saving mulimi oluzungu Luganda. Saving is this part of your money that you choose to actually keep aside for future reasons. It could be investment, it could be speculative. Naye tugamba nti when you're looking at your incomes, tujazaula mu nti sente zonna z'oba nazo zigenda tabuliyambibwa bibiri. You're either going to consume it or you're going to save it. So abakola economics bagamba nti sente zo, your income will equal to what you consume and what you save.
I have a question. Is investing in some things also saving?
Actually, bw'oba ojjukira bulungi ekoonwo gwe wasoma mu HSC. Walinga
nakola enti.
Okay.
Yes.
Naye waliwo ka formula akagamba nga S equals to I. Kitegeeza economist alina assumption nti bw'okwata ssente ng'oziterese ate tozisudde mu kinnya.
Once I invest, I'm kind of saving in some way or the other.
Once you save, you should ensure that you invest.
Once I save, I ensure that
you have to make sure you invest that money that you save.
Tezandibadde kuba nti zitudde zeebase. Actually, principle bumwe obwo bwangu nnyo. Nti ne mu Bayibuli bagamba nti toziika ssente genda ogitwala ekole ki? Ekole. So, funa ssente zigabanyemu, you know I need to work on this. There are basic requirements. Actually, the consumption formula is oba oyingiza oba toyingiza oteekeddwa okufulumya. Ekyo kyo kiriwo. As long as oli muntu oli mulamu oteekeddwa okukola ki? Okufulumya. Yes.
Regardless.
Kyobola bw'osobola obbeera awo nga tolina 10 naye ng'ate olidde. Naye saving kwe kubeerawo n'ogamba nti mu buli mbeera yonna oba nfunye katono katya. Liringa ssuubi lya mu maaso eyo nti either waliwo ekiyinza okujja mu maaso eyo n'ekifunawo obuzibu kano kali ntaasa oba olw'okuba nina kye njagala okutuukako kankatereka enzimba empolampola keegatteko.
So saving.
Ate ffenna tumumanyi ekigambo si kipya.
Kipya naye how does someone actually
understand? We
all understand saving. But what advice would you give omuntu ali eyo on how to save? A lot of people don't know how to save, by the way.
Actually,
I think
mulimunolinga culture yok saving etagirina general.
Ekigambo saving kitwale nga discipline. Nga bw'otuuka omuntu bw'agamba nti bw'oba okuzibwa bakugamba nti g'okwekomako oba self control. Noko ekigamba saving is a big part of financial management. Nti fenna mu the different skills we come and develop in our lifetime. Omuntu olina okuyiga enkwata ya ssente. Bwe nfuna ssente nkozesezza ntya ssente okunkolera so sinza okubeera nga ndi musibe ti every single day noonya ssente. Kati some of these simple principles is saving is more of like delayed gratification. Nti nina obusobozi essaawa zino ngenze ongambye oli muyiribi. Tingenze neekuba omusajja yazze n'aleeta ekyuma kibadde kyakakadde naye akitutte ku bubiri. Mino all of a sudden nyingizaawo akakadde ako kategeeza ki essaawa eyo. Essaawa eyo nsologera n'enkubira omukulu ono ne home ne ani stay home girlfriend. Nemugamba nti bannaaye fomo yolo we only live once tugende tukole ki tunyumirwe and it's possible era akakadde ako tujja kukasaasaanya tukalye kakole ki
kagwewo
naye ate nsobola okugamba nti akakadde kano kenfunye babadde bakyamanjako rent oyo siyinza mugamba nsigenda musasudde naye njagala nfisseewo abiri gano abiri gano bwe ngafissaawo bwe mbadde nga njiribanga siina nakaduuka sobola ogenda ne ngamba omukyalo ono owakaduuka nti omanyi njagala nkutemerenga yeetaano nange ng'emaali bwe mba nfuna ompa adresi nti omuntu bwe mukubira akasimu mugamba nsangaawa wano kikuwaaki oli mu kuzimba kapito yo nti ate bw'oyongera okubeera nti ofuna buddiru n'ofissaawo osobola ogamba nti mu mwaka gumu nja kuba nfuuse nga isabrent somewhere so kyengeza kugamba nti ne saving yeetaaga okubeeramu n'ekiruubirirwa why are you saving yes kuba abasinga era ffenna tuyitayo ne buli wootereka n'ogaa nti ntereka naye simanyi lwaki ntereka ono bwagenda okujja n'ekizibu kye akaabe bwe mubeeramu nga kabebi ngaako ebizibu byakona bibeera bibyo ate mulimu n'abagezi kati omukulu ng'ono nga bw'anaamanya nti bwaterese yaasa tugali eyo gatudde ate togalinaako pulaani nga ye tekimulobera kujja kukubalira ddiru nti bwategedde
waliwo ekutuka
bwe tugenda ne tuteeka ku PSG ng'ekuba Bayern gana asatu enkya tukeera tulina kakadde kati abakusomera ddiru nga ssente weeziri bangi weetaaga obere n'ekiruubirirwa nti ntereka olw'ensonga eno nekikuyamba okuwa drive nti ne bw'onaaba oyagala ozijja ojja gamba nedda nserese lwa nsonga eri
oyogedde ku betting if you talk about betting is betting an investment or is it
because there are people literally nga ye akera kumacha n'ava ewaka n'asibira ku betting
netwagenda ku 4wd.com n'agenda n'asoma ani head to head yabadde atya
n'akapapula kawanvu kati
n'alyoka agamba nga amanyi bakooti bonna
is it a form of investment
omanyi gavumenti eno yagenda n'etuwa emirembe nti bw'osalawo n'ogamba olina omulimu gwe teri agamba nti ogwo si mulimu naye osobola okubeera nga weerimba nti olina omulimu naye nga tolina mulimu mu kulaba okwange nanditutte betting nti eringa hobby nga bw'oyagala okugenda n'osambako akapiira nga bwandigambye nti njagala genda bwe baba nga obucupa buno bukuwoomera n'ogamba nti ku weekend neeyiwamu nayiro 2 ne betting wandimutwalidde mu ttuluba eryo nti kimpa essanyu but bw'oba bala nti nkiyingidde naye it is an expense kusimanya wamutegera bulungi si business nti ngenda teekamu waitewo akabanga nfune business eyo olina nnyini betting sigwe kati gwoli customer we kati mwembi temuyinza banga muli mu business yemu otherwise ajja batakola naye olw'ensonga nti gye twatandikira mu 2009 twalina SBA yokka n'essaawa zino owulira 40 bet owulira ki kitegeeza nti business ye ekola ki ebuumingira nannyini yo so sigwako era n'oleka ebyano n'ojja n'osoma akapapula Alan Sewanyana n'afuuka profesa wo simanya bano baani nga gwe bwotwalanga baprofesa no oli mu okola loosi 2 ofiirwa obudde ate ogenda kwolekera nga ofiiriddwa ki sente so bw'oba okibaze bulungi n'ogamba nti abantu abo bunnyumira nze emyaka egyo nali nnyumirwa obulogoye akagaza natoosako nendowoozaako nga gwe nange kuba munnalyako ku sente eziwerera ddala we nazirya ate okumanya sente ezo mbi nnyo nali ndiddi mu sekendi yaawo naye nentuuka nalina mukwano gwange ali awo nentandika okubalabanga katugenda kugula ettaka nagenda osanga mukwano gwange ng'ali ku Japanese used cars tulino mu campus tusula mu hostero bwa gavumenti emusasula toyina na sente naye ng'olw'okuba bakubyeyo 5 gwe babadde tobala olabye ddala bwenzizaayo 5 gano nataddeyo 5 naye nfuna 5 kati bwenzizaayo gano 5 ngenda funa 10 bwe nazaayo 10 kugamba ozimba ebirooto naye nga wansi toyina musingi ye gambling abantu kyava bagwa eddalu okigera so in the end kale nze ekyanyamba okubivaamu kubeera nagwo muze bwera bw'otakutegeera gukulya naye mukama nze yantaasa butaasa nti lumu already nali mugezi nnyo ntuuse binsudde kumbe nze na campus ennemye mukama nantaasa lumu nentula neŋŋamba naye bino ebintu kambi bale nalindiddeko mmeka naye nalyayo akamu ekitundu nendyayo 5 nalya genda okukalamu ze bankubye 6 bakubako 3 nembala nti mu myaka 2 gye nali mbadde mu betting baali bansazeeyo nali naakakubayo miliyoni 3 naye nga nabo baakandyayo nga 3 mu emitwalo aga naye nga saawa ezo nina pass degree toyina na bulamu toyina na muwala gw'otunulako n'ogamba nti ono gwe mmalirako obudde kuba gwe buli weekend ogimayira wali mu bamuyitanga ni Gaming International bampa ne ka t-shirt ka green nali nkalina
mukama wali mukugu
obi wa betting
ochege
obukugu bwe bukulaga nti kyenaga ekiri ekya false confidence nti osobola okwewulira nti ozimbye ekintu naye ng'omusingi mukyamu kuba at the end of the day toyinza gamba nti business eno ngitaddemu emyaka 2 kaakati ngifunyeemu kino it had only destroyed the only grateful thing kyenajjamu nayiga okwabsolvinga loss manyi buli kintu obeeramu nekyokiyigamu nti betting akuyigiriza okutalafya n'ogamba nzi kyazze kankole ki era kati bwe mbeeraawo nensuula ezzike lyange mbwongo ngamba kati awo nasibye ku tiimu ne bagikuba kyenayigamu otherwise no, it's not a business. It's actually an addictive activity that you need to control. No gamba nti bwe kiba nkyagala nnyo bwe mba nayingizaayo nsuubulira okusaasaanya 15 ngenda gulako oluti lw'ennyama pooko 5 ngenda embisiba akapapula bwe babikuba kasita nnyumiddwa but it's not something you should actually look forward to indulging in bakisobola okukulya.
So you're saying it's actually a liability?
It's an expense, not even a liability. It's an expense ate ekula. Atukuba erina that ability okukulimba ekutuukira n'ojja n'olowooza nti olika
obudde bwonna oyinza okukwasa
ate nga ne bw'otakwasa kugamba kiri it's just wrong business and abavubuka bangi tebakiraba naye right now omuntu ng'oli myaka 18 20 myaka 3 you can afford to indulge in a lot of skill development osobola okutrying out ebintu bingi ebimu bijjagana because we are all not good at everything but betting robs you of that.
Okay. So you talked about savings. Usually some people you save when you have a goal.
Sure.
And majority of the people save when they have an investment goal. But usually we have these savings accounts, different savings. You go to the bank, they give you options, different kinds of or to listen, to understand why you want to do this. But there are people who go there and they just take the options given to them by the tellers or the people working at the bank. So if you could explain a few of the different savings accounts someone could opt for that are favorable. Let's say me, just as I said, I am a stay-at-home girlfriend, ngafuna sente za kameza, and I want to save to invest eventually. Kangeza omwami sikyamwagala boyfriend, njagala mbeere nga netegese bwe mba ngenda kuvaayo
independent ina sente zo somewhere.
Yes, I know I have enough money to be able to live and invest in something, but at least I go to the bank, then I use a different savings account, or I use a different savings account that they're chopping for 5,000 every day or every month. So actually, I'm losing money.
Question here, the different banks have different savings accounts. Of which, simple example, I didn't want to quote this. Inzali mu equity. Savings account yange mu equity tebansala monthly kujja ko nganzijayo.
Yes, I get that.
Kiri ku bank zonga zo oba.
I think because let me tell you, I went as a guarantor for my dad. He was getting a loan. So they told me you cannot stand as a guarantor if you do not have an account in the bank.
Yes, because they can't recognize you as a guarantor. Yes.
So I had to open an account, but when they told me open a savings account, I just got excited. So they told me fill this, but the savings account I had opened, they were going to charge a lot of money on it as a guarantor. So I realized later on. So I went back to the same bank to open up a different account, and they accepted. So you see, at first I was naive. I just opened.
Bank and actual process.
No, one thing I want to appreciate, chenjaga chembaga deko mukutesa nti. We fena twogera mu saving, teri yagambye tulinayo kaniigi na kaffe wetutereka. Actually, one of the first things I would want to encourage all of us is save money with a regulated institution. A lot of people have a bad saving culture nti bw'omutuukako n'omubuuza nga totereka nze banziba badda.
But you know there are a lot of charges on those cards.
Now, before we get there, one, let's first understand that I'd rather be charged than lose my entire lot.
True.
You get?
Lose it how?
In terms of bana balinga mu cash round babita
If
cha
Caleb and Jovan come and tell us to go the war
Cash
like
round.
CHIT-CHAT
Account.
Sako. Ne bajja ne batu collecting amawu busente ne batuwa obupapula. Before you know it, Caleb has gone up country.
Disappeared.
Caleb is a treasurer.
atoya agenda.
So Kagwe, you've been keeping your money, you know, end of
You're
year, I'm
helpful.
going to pay myself, I'm taking my family for a trip.
I know.
See? So you lose it all. Odako gamba ye mfachi nebo entereka bakola chiba banzibe. So one, the first thing when you're going to save is to understand who are you saving with. That's very crucial.
Yeah.
So the fact that everyone is speaking about bank, that's a plus. Nti sente tuzitereka awantu awatuufu ne bwe tumala okumanya
Chipe
nti
nakale.
no
Kale zona sizitereka mu banka kuba banka namwe musala nnyo.
no, that's where that's
Kyagala okujja.
you see.
Kyagala okujja.
No,
ke.
Bank
like
ateka
I
that
said,
numa.
money has different reasons. We keep money for speculative, for transactional purposes.
Investment.
Chegera. So money is it transactional? You want to keep it nearby. Chegera. What is transaction? I need to eat lunch. I need to eat breakfast. You can't save that money in a bank where are going to charge you. But
Sente
if
za
I-
so, can I stop there 1
Uh-huh.
minute? Nze ntunda spare. Sente za business zitereka mu banka. Naye zange za sekinoomu. Siswa zitereka mu banka.
nedda kati ataawo.
Ate era kyekiri kyagambye.
Okitutte nti the person of Caleb is a broke man. Njagala tandiko tufune
No!
no, first listen to me.
No, first listen.
Caleb.
I'm not saying I'm a broke man. All I'm
Eh.
saying is
Eh.
I feel more safe
Olinga agamba
keeping
nti
it
sente
for
za Caleb
myself.
is petty cash.
It's not petty.
Yeah,
It's a lot of money, but
big accounts.
zinyuma.
Yeah.
Caleb,
Eh?
what you're saying nti okwata sente za business kati eza spare n'oziteeka mu
Mu
bank.
bank.
Akugambye nti mu kusavinga muno there are a lot of scenarios. Mulimu asavinga nti for obiyite bitya?
Speculative.
Speculative. Ayina bwabinyonyodde
Kale
oluzungu
then
lungi.
the ekikulu the point here
So,
is
Yes.
Sente zikuli gwe zogamba nti zotateeka mu banka. Zezo sente zayogeddeko nti ezibeera nti
nawe
si
kampu
zezo.
kyamu.
Nende
Caleb.
esente ezange zibeerako ne kati for example ntereka kati kuba nze nzitereka wako ezo sikimenyawo ekyo
Bakuwulidde.
I'm saving for
okola otya
nzitereka waka
bategeezezza.
they know my address mugimanyi yes nzitereka waka but what I'm saying is sente zange wenzifuna ezo of course mba ngena zispendinga mu future naye nga zirina program okyegera saving yakasimu kapya okyegera ne actually saving for something but I do it at home
Why?
But why?
Why?
because half the time you go to the bank bakusala
Okay, so
So,
now
so
allow
in
me
simple terms,
allow me
you don't want to make losses just because of a few coins.
Allow me
Bankers
address
they
that.
you're
give
calling them a
kusala
few
kwa-
coins but in
Allow
a
me
long term
allow
run
me
it
address
is a
that
it
point,
is a lot of money.
Caleb, allow me address that
the
point. One, muli babuufu, because you already know some of the key aspects that someone should consider when getting a savings account.
True.
Kuba ogambye bansala nnyingi. Bw'oba ogenda ku opening up an account, these are some of the things that are very important that you need to note. One is the cost of opening the account.
Yes.
Abantu abamu bajja kugamba account opening yaffe ya 2,000 ya 15,000. I know people of 50,000, even people of 100,000. That is one thing to note. The second thing you need to note when trying to identify who you're going to deal with is what is the maintenance charges. Kati maintenance charges zigenda zigatta mu bintu bibiri. Tulina ze tuyita transactional costs ne periodic cost. Transactional cost bw'oba ojjayo bw'oba oteekayo tukusala oba tetukusala. Then ogambe nti omwezi bwe guggwako, do you have monthly charges or you don't have?
Yeah.
If you do have monthly charges, what are the monthly charges? One thing I can tell you, and authoritatively, is we have banks that do not have withdrawal charges. Okay,
Well,
I would not say that we have
withdraw-
banks. We have banks that do not have accounts. Because even from where I work, this is a very generic thing, so I'm not going to advertise, but I would advertise. Where I work, which is Pride Microfinance, we have different forms of savings accounts. Naye tulina account eno bagita akiba. So this account okugitandika, when you're opening an account, we encourage you to bring like 15,000. Over the 15,000, the only cost jetukutadeko yiga savings card 3,000. Endazo natu zikuwamu ATM card, then balance natanganga yoka initial deposit. Our minimum balance is at 2,000. So not to know yango gamba omuntu nti if you can contain yourself to balance, this account is for a typical Ugandan, ayagala okutereka. Netumugamba nti if you can limit your withdrawals in a month, deposits are free of charge. If you can limit your withdrawals in a month to only 2, we will not charge you. So laba nti bakuwadde 2 free withdrawals, eyokusatu bakucharging. Then nojja nosanga nti at month at okay. This is a different from I'm thinking but so I just want to give something generic that you're looking at what are the transactional costs, bansala maker. What are the monthly costs? And then, Caleb, the question I want to ask you, what is the opportunity cost? Kuba okugeza kangambe banke kugambye nti buli mwezi tukutemako $2,500 is a maintenance fees. Kangambe bw'oba ofunyeyo ka withdraw ka 7. So okuba tuyinza obbalawo nti 13,000 ziyinza okugwa mu mwezi. What is the opportunity cost of you keeping money at home? How safe is that money when it is at home vis-a-vis the 13,000 zino zewegezaako okwewala?
At home it is safe.
Anti awembuliza ti mu bulamu bw'obwensi buno ewamwe baali babamenyeeko ne tebababbangako. Kakati nze gye mbeera
bababba
ababbi gye bali. No, and actually it's not only theft, the risks, because sometimes understanding your problem is about assessing your risks. Nti munju, a fire can break out.
True.
Fire will destroy your money. Munju
olinamu abantu abalala bobeera nabo.
I'm going to assume that the money stays with holier than thou people. But munju bobanga oyina mu sink. I'm assuming tewali osiba abwayise and for sirumba. But I'm assuming oyina sink, meaning omuntu asobola okuleka tapu nga amazzi gagenze ne gayiika. If the house floods, that is your money disappears. So omuntu nga muyivu ate omanyi bino ebagamba nti ebintu okusoma bye tulina okutuyambako. If your land, there are certain risks that no longer make sense for you to take. So for me, I would not encourage anyone to tell me I am not banking in a bank because they are very high cost. I want someone to say, listen, let me finish this point. I want someone to say, I am looking for a bank that does not exceed this much amount. Kubanga nze obwempitira. Naye for you to send ngenda ku onboarding all that risk.
Let me tell you one thing. There are banks I once kept in a certain bank, and I was not withdrawing. I only deposited for a period of about 1.5 years. Kati ngene olikuddayo mu banka nga nsubirayo emitwalo at least 15. Okitegera? Tuuka mu banka nga waliyo emitwalo 8 Okitegera? So nentambula ne ngamba kanveeyo ngerekola ki? Mbuuze. I told me what cost is no.
Ati kyekiri kyagambye Caleb nti banka
okuva olwo
Caleb kyekiri kyagambye point yo ngitegeera
uliza cyangwa nnyo omukazi tamukyawangako tota bwe bakukyawa toddanga mukwana
ekiriawo naye
David agamba
nabalabalamu nga it was too much.
Also Caleb, also the other issue is different banks target different niche markets. Some people will offer very high convenience at a high cost. What am I saying? You're a customer, and so is Sudil.
True.
And so is the MD of some institution, the manager of some institution. Some people will value the convenience more than the price. Omuntu ajagenda agulewo account nga yagamba kasitambira nga nsobola okusindika sente ku simu yange ku internet. I can do internet banking. I can send money and order for things using Visa card on my thing.
Irrespective of the amount they charge that person.
I want convenience. Naye kati nze naawe kyova kyenera bidogamba olina okusooka ne weemanya who am I? What do I want?
Kono ya bank.
Who are you?
Bwe weemanya nti essaawa zino omuntu atadde 2,000 ku ssente zange ankyankalanya. You want to look for an alternative? Where we basaba 10,000. No.
Either way,
actually, that's a new development. I think, was it 2 months ago? No, I think this month or last month, we had, there's a new BOU, some act came by, National Payments Act. So currently, Airtel and MTN can actually save money. So that's a new development for Ugandans. Buli abantu babadde baterekanga sente ku mobile money nga teziriko interest. So by this act coming into play, now people have an opportunity to actually save on mobile money and get interest. That's the third thing CHIT-CHAT bagambye. Nti buli wotereka sente zo abantu bandibadde bakulwamuka interest. Kuba bagenda bank egenda kukozesa sente zo eziwola abantu.
David, thank
so that
you very
is the
much.
third aspect.
If I'm to
webale nnyo okutuuka ku ekyo ekintu kyakyo okusavinga nofuna interest. Nze kaweesintadde ssente mu banka bwe nteekayo emitwalo 10 banka yange ennungi nnyo tensala monthly sigendangayo nensanga okweyongeddeko wadde so interest sizirabanga kuba te either way kuba ssente tuba tuzibawa mwe ne muzizannyisa mwe babanka mugaba looni mugaba ki ekyo nakyo kiri ku banka yo nga yo oba
naawe kyekimu.
It was different. I wanted to ask what are the requirements for opening up our savings accounts, because many of us we just go to banks but we don't really know what the requirements are.
Okay, now there's we have an institution. We have Bank of Uganda. I'm giving the local context. We have Bank of Uganda, and then we have something called the Deposit Protection Fund. Kakati bagenda ne bayiseteeka nga baagala okumanya ani atereka. It has to do with something they call anti-money laundering. Bikyebwe baagala kola sente zitambula zitya. So saawa zino ekikwakuliza ekisookera ddala okugulawo account in any regulated institution is a national ID. National ID bajagalako ki bajagalako the NIN number. Era no, if you don't have the national ID, but NIRA can support and say this is so and so, and this is the NIN number, osobola okutandika kyekisooka. So as long as you have a national ID, ebisigadde byangu bajja kusaba ka passport photo n'obusente sente. But what is key, anyone who has a national ID, who has a NIN number right now, and is above 18, because if you're below 18, they will open, yes, they will have these minors account, but at the end, bojetegereza, it seems like the account belongs to the elder person who is opening it in the names of the minor. So you're above 18, you have a national ID, you have a source of income that can facilitate this account.
So you mean someone under 18 can open up a savings account?
Through someone who is above 18. Like if you have a young sister, you can go to a bank, they have children accounts. So they open it in your names. Okay. Badde njaganga sina maizanzire ku kikyo. Njagala lwoddayo okutunula ku account yo. Teri kuffe ffenna yali akutte ku shilingi 34. Tozikwatanga kuko emyaka gyo teziriiyo. Tojjaga nti wasangako sente. Nawe tozisangangako. But next time you go to a bank, look at your account balance. Emirundi egisinga ojjagamba ntera teekayo ebiri naye bw'otuuka kebera ku balance. Bajagamba ina emitwalo 15 mu 6 mu 775 n'obutundutundu 5. Those tiny balances are actually interest. This is how it happens. Ojagenda otereka sente mu bank ekugamba nti because you're opening up a savings account oteka sente n'ozijjayo. So your money is also not good investment money for the bank. They can't bank on it. Kuba sente sanyo n'oba ozikola ki? Ozijjayo. So bateekako obugobo emirundi esinga butono nnyo bajja kugamba 1%, 2%.
Is that why when you usually check balance there is balance and actual balance?
Kati ekyo oli that is minimum balance. Kati neyo gyekiri nti bank ojja kugenda ng'erina minimum balance ya 2 ya mutwalo. So available balance is actual minus the minimum. Kasoke maleyo nga sinayirabira kigundi. Ekya interest kiri nti bwe bakuwa 2% ku mitwalo 10 ze sente mmeka size nusu kandabe 10% is what is 2% of mitwalo 10?
2% of mitwalo 10 ekibalo kyange kitambulidde ku calculator wano.
That is about
2%.
2%. That is
12,000 kati bakuwa 2% per year. Meaning bw'onaaboleseeyo 10 eryo okumala omwaka mulamba. Bagenda kuwa 10 meka?
2.
Kati 12 mu mwaka kati zigabanyeemu emyezi 12. Ojja kwesanga nti buli mwezi w'oleseeyo 10 eryo bakongedemu nga nusu 2 mu 3 mu 2 n'obutoneza 3. kati ate ne bajja ne bakuba monthly charge ye2,200 kati ogenda obbala mathematics nga
Era
bakuba.
bazitemi.
Yes. But it also means that the more you save, the more the deposit value, the higher the interest will be.
My last question was about
on saving.
on saving. Osagira. Kyebadde ngeno okubuuza ku saving eyo. Kyekino. Tonira bizine. Kyekino. You know, all these charges they put on savings accounts. I have a question. There is una banka ginaterekamu sente nentuuka nga there is nothing that has been added on at all. At all. This is a saving account. Kiba kitegeeza ki?
Anti bintu bibiri wali ogigula bukyalimu nti account eyo egendako interest yo bategendako. That is the first issue because esobola okubeerayo nga bo nga that particular account you opening teriiko ebyo bya interest.
Ekirala student account eno bw'ogigulawo ng'okyali ku campus nomaliriza osoma, what happens to that account?
Awo kiyituse okutegeera kwa
Kisinzira ku banka ndo.
No, it is very specific because some remain actually as student accounts. They are limited, they are very basic, but they'll have those privileges. Some people actually change them. So I don't want to speak on something I'm not very authoritative about.
Some banks change them?
Yes.
Yeah, I was asking a question about loans. Zomanyize ntira ddala loans. Ni musajja atya loan kubanga sente ezo. Mugenda ne mutuwa, for example, is M-Copper that does
Solar Kit.
Solar Kit, yeah.
Loan, yes.
It gives you a phone and you give them 170 and then you pay 2,000 for the rest of the year.
Yes.
Ochegera? In the long run obalabalamu esimu gye wandiguze emitwalo 7
ogiguze akakadde n'eki
kamu ana mu nnya. Ochegera? That is just an example.
So what's the question?
The question is, why would I get a loan? Yet that interest is over-exaggerated.
Okay.
Nimba
Over like,
Chitegeza-
when do I need to take a loan?
bankolera abagaga pate.
Soko tunyonyerere loan yo nga kyo kiki.
Loan kyeki. Loan ze sente ezitali zizo. Z'oyagala okukozesa essaawa eyo kuba toyina zizo ng'ate waliyo eyeetegese okuzikuwa okumala akabanga ke mulagaanye at a specific interest rate. So a loan is money. It's not your money. It must be paid back and with interest. That's what makes a loan. So what should be clear at how much. So what you've just explained nsimanya ataddeyo ngenzo baliramu nga nsaasaanyiza kamu ana ku kintu eky'emitwalo 7. And given our economy, that's something that's very similar. I'm not very sure about the content, but this is it. Why should I borrow? It will all come with the urgency of the need, the timing and time value for money. Because I think those are the things a loan tries to answer. The reason you're borrowing is because you don't have that money, but you need what the loan can deliver. I'll give you a simple example. I have a child who's going back to school. I need school fees. Without school fees, the child won't go back. But you know, at the end of the month, you get some money and pay. But if you don't have the money now, the child will not go to school. And you can't afford to wait a child sitting home for the whole month. So that's where value of money now comes in. But now, because of the time value of money, the person is going to forfeit the opportunity to use their money because you're using it. So you give them a return in form of interest. Now, the margin of that return is another discussion for another day. Is it fair? Are these rates normal? Maybe that's a discussion for another day. But the reason why we borrow is I need to do something now. It might not make sense to do it in the future, but I don't have those resources now. Nti njagala sina simu egudde bagibbye, but I cannot be off air for a month. Njagala simu yakakadde sikalina. Someone is saying, I'm going to give you akakadde ogule simu gyoyagala. You're going to pay me this money in a period of 6 months. Meaning for a period of 6 months, someone is on bunkenke but ansasula. So by the time you're done paying that money, you should be able to reward that person's bunkenke bwabaddeko nasasula tasasula.
So your interest,
yes, you should be able to reward that person's ability not to use their money all these 6 months. That is why there is interest. Now the serious question is, nze nfuniramu wa? Kakati bw'otuula n'obala n'olaba nti kyengenda okukola bwe njikola kye ŋŋenda okujjamu kisukka ku magoba ge ŋŋenda okusasula, then it makes sense. I'll bring it to a business perspective. Nti nina business yange njagala kugyongeramu. Kangame ntunda, I sell drinks, soda. I know that in a week I can sell about 10 crates of soda.
Okay.
Eh? So if a crate of soda is 18,000, you can okay, let's say 20,000. But then there are 24 bottles, so you can make a 4K gross profit. So if I can sell 10 crates of soda, that is 40,000 in a week. So if it's a month, that is 160,000. So if a person can give me a loan today to restock my sodas, and I calculate that the profit I would get if I restock today is 160,000, but the cost of borrowing this money is 50,000. That someone has said, I'll give you this money at the end of month and 50,000. It makes a lot of sense to say, okay, let me get this money, I invest in my business, I make 160, but because I didn't use my money, I'm going to lose 50,000 in form of interest payment.
That is true.
However, there are cases
there are
where, yes, no, there are risks, but they also...
So, if I'm to ask, different loans have different interest rates.
Different lenders have
different
lenders, not different loans.
Not even different loans.
Different lenders have different loans for have different rates for different loans.
Yes. Okay.
Actually,
for me, what I fear about borrowing, eyo nambi take it. Naye mungena nemutusabe omusingo. Yeah? And this musingo is more expensive than actually the loan I'm getting.
We need you
in simple
terms. We need you to be incentivized to pay the loan. Imagine, singa ali osobola okwewola akakadde busatu akasimu kano. This phone is roughly right now obala ne depreciation eri ku mitwalo 2. So if you could borrow 2 million on a musingo of 200,000, what would motivate you to pay back this loan? Nothing. Nebwasigaze esimu dina sente.
Ready boy na million 2 esobola kufuna.
But the reason why they'll tell you pledge something of a higher value is because we want you to keep the love for what you've staked should motivate you to say, let me take back the money and I get back claim to what is mine. So ate lwakubanga you need to be careful on who you're dealing with in terms of nanja kuddayo kiri ekinche n'abagambye nti when you're dealing with money, deal with regulated institutions. Because we know in Uganda we have money lenders, we have informal loan sharks. There are very many people who deal in money. But if you're going, as the higher you go, at the lower levels you might stand. But the beauty is with the current competition, a lot of people we used to think are high end have come and are now grappling for the low end customer. So you'll find the banks that you once thought were big, but they actually have loan products for a very simple Ugandan who has a turnover of around 300,000 a month. And there is a unique loan product with very sensible interest rates. I'll give you a simple example of one of the common institutions here. And an institution will tell you, I'm charging you 30%. So when you hear 30%, of course never listen to 30%. When you hear 30%, say 30% per, because that defines the interest rate. It could be 30% and it's daily. It could be 30% per month, 30% per annum. So always be keen to know what's the interest rate?
You can't
the
choose.
Value. No, this is already their price that they are telling you. But when you're listening in, you're keeping an eye on what is the period within which this interest is charged. Is it daily, monthly, or annual? So when you've ascertained that, I'm just giving you an example. There's an institution that gives 30% per annum. When you hear that, you say, sentes on nyingi. Nate, you said you work in town, now we're muri muchibuga. You know that people will say, ngenda kuwe kumidino. Then next week in the agala mwe mtoja angeju. Meaning that person is giving you 30% per week. And you're comfortable with that rate. And yet when a bank tells you, I'm charging you 30% per annum, okubendulu. Nengo wa 30% ali mukugamba. Nti mu myezi 12 nzirizamu 30%. Meaning if you bring it on a monthly basis, that's around 2.7%. Bring it on a weekly and it is even less than 1.
The other thing that I get
so in simple terms, tulina kutegera ratings is
ekisinga okunkanga okwewola ogenda neweewola bwano
ngwengotya nnyo okwewola
ngunyonnyola ulira abakuwola nagamba muno olina okubanga osasudde by Friday this week ku Friday tabeerawo
aha
n'osooka ositaana n'onoonya omusajja
naye ekyo kisinzira endooza kyekiri kyagala
nadde nkugamba nti sooka bwemanye onoonyera omuntu omutuufu gw'odiiringa naye kuba kaakati if you're borrowing from an institution they have an address bagenda keera nga basenguse kiki. But what you're saying is happening because wadirinze ne David alina briefcase office mwakoze agreement erimu have lent yo erimu I have sold my land ebyo byonna gwe you are desperate for money you didn't consider them. So I'm telling you there are better options out there. You don't need to entrap yourself in such an arrangement in today's Uganda.
Okay, that was us today. We were talking about money, loan, savings, byonna mubiwulidde naye. We shall be back next week with something else.
Banka tebamukuse bulungi.
Tebamukuse tujja muzza mu maaso eyo naye abawaddeko byabawadde. He's a banker. Ni mutunduzi wa spare.
Nze ndi engineer.
Stay home.
Ne baby.
Stay home, baby.
Girlfriend.
Inaba wali ku buzibu kubanga stay home.
See you next time.
Sign out.